Hey folks, welcome to the show. I'm John Smith.
And I'm Jason Speedy.
Welcome back. Sorry, we were off last week, so we're kind of doing this one to fill in, and then we'll be back on next week. We missed last week due to the snowstorm. I think everybody had about 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do?
Shovel.
The weather in winter in New Brunswick,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, we've heard that enough over the last couple weeks. But, yeah, you know, for someone like myself who looks forward to the baseball season every year, pitchers and catchers report spring training in the next 10 to 14 days. So some of the higher popularized players are reporting early. So that's always a good sign.
Yeah, I've seen A-Rod and Cashman are going to talk. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I can only imagine how that conversation. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that that room.
I would too. Yeah. So there was one heck of a football game while we were away. Right before our show, actually, and then we kind of got snowed out and wasn't able to make it in. So, what did you think of the football game? It was probably one of the better Super Bowls I've seen in years. But.
Yeah, well, the Super Bowl, I mean, definitely was entertaining, to say the least. It was a great game. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, it was, back and forth. The way that it started out was kind of, surprised, myself and my friends that were watching it, because I mean, it seemed like the first quarter was over in like 20 minutes, and it was, three and out type, possessions. I mean, I think New England was really the only, ones that were getting like any first downs or getting any
too much in the first quarter.
Yeah, so I mean, but it was a clean game. The referees let them play. I mean, it was a well played game, and it was an exciting game. Obviously, I mean,
kept everybody guessing right until the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It was back and forth. Bill Belichick's a genius. I mean, Pete Carroll, even that last second half drive, that was masterful. I mean, a lot of coaches probably would have called for the field goal. You were getting the ball back at the start of the half, and he went for it. So, I mean, that was a genius call.
Yeah.
The catch right before the interception was an amazing catch. I mean, that had everybody on their seats. And
well, with the way that had happened, how the whole possession was starting to unfold, I mean, it definitely brought back memories of, the Super Bowl, obviously, with the David Tyree catch on the helmet, and even the catch Mario Manningham had with the Giants in the I guess the second Super Bowl between the Giants and New England. So you just kind of felt that this is gonna happen again against them, right? So on the degree of difficulty, like, I don't think that could happen again.
No.
You know what I mean? Just the way that everything happened in those, 2 seconds.
I think they said it hit his body 5 different times before he finally maintained possession on that.
Well, also with the New England defenders, kind of one going this way and one coming that way, like, to have that concentration and to be fortunate enough that the ball didn't hit the ground, and I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was.
And then we go on to the next play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, when that catch happens, when you're on the opposing side, like, I mean,
that takes the wind out of your sails.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be thinking like, oh my God, not again. Like, there's just no way they can't. You know what I mean?
Especially where it had happened to them before, 2 years,
but
twice.
When you're a champion, you're able to kind of gain that that focus, get it back real quick, and be resilient, and that's what they did.
So then that call Pete Carroll made to throw it rather than pass it when it's first and goal, second down, 30 seconds to go. It's going to be disputed for a very long time whether it was the right call or not.
Yeah.
I myself probably would have maybe. I do think they did have to throw in a pass there somewhere, but I probably would have run it the second down and then maybe killed 10, 15 more seconds off the clock. And then if you don't get it, if you lose yards, you're still going to be in good position to throw the pass, and then you're not leaving Tom Brady with 30 seconds, 28 seconds, whatever left on the clock if you would have scored on that play.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been obviously a lot of dialogue and a lot of second guessing and a lot of, opinions being thrown out there. I mean, I understand how some people have kind of stood up for Pete Carroll, and like I know Belichick kind of came out and said, if you don't if you're not a coach and you don't know, you haven't played the game, you really don't have much of an opinion. I think Mark Cuban kind of had something similar to that. And, I mean, I do agree with that. Like, if you...
But sometimes you got to play the obvious.
Well, kind of like
you got to play the obvious.
Yeah, and kind of like what we're doing. I mean, we're just talking heads. I mean, we haven't played in the NFL. We don't play in the NBA. So I mean, we're fans with opinions, and I mean that's what we are. Yeah. Having said that, and I do put stock in what Belichick says and other people that have played the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're saying, I mean, Lynch almost got in. I mean, it was just lucky that one of the offensive linemen that was on the ground kind of stuck his hand up and tripped him up on the goal line.
On the first try.
When you have Marshawn Lynch, someone of his caliber, 1.5 yards, 2 yards out, second down, Super Bowl on the line, you got to live and die with it, right? I mean, if he doesn't get in, hats off to New England, goal line stand, they deserve but I mean,
if I was Marshawn Lynch now, we'll put it this way, like, I'm one of the best running backs in the league. You've got the game on the hands, in my hands, and you give it to the quarterback. Like, if I was Marshawn Lynch, I would seriously consider signing elsewhere, like with Seattle. Like, that's what players, the high quality players, play the game for, is to have the game on their shoulders, have it on their backs, and take it in.
Yeah.
And they passed it off.
Well, and this is I've been criticized in and amongst my friends for thinking this way, but I mean, I think there's got to be a little bit of something to this, that for some reason Pete Carroll must have wanted Russell Wilson to get the MVP or something, because I mean, it just didn't make sense to at least try one more time, and then, like you said, then try a fade to Luke Wilson in the back of the end zone, like. Just that slant on and I mean,
and even if say he makes the catch there, there's still 30 seconds left on the clock. There's three, four quarterbacks in the game that I would not want to give the ball 30 seconds left on the clock. Tom Brady is one of them.
Yeah.
If any quarterback could come back with 30 seconds and give you a game-winning drive to win the Super Bowl, it'd be Tom Brady.
But okay, that's true. Yes, I agree with you. But they get the touchdown. They kick off, 30 seconds left to go in the game. They're going to kick it into the end zone. They're going to take a touchback, start on their 20, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they aren't going to. But you play the odds with Seattle's defense that a Hail Mary isn't going to happen. The worst case scenario is they would have driven far enough to get a field goal, tie the game up, then you go to overtime. Yeah. And, I mean, that is a very realistic situation.
Especially if you have Tom Brady on your team and then you have Bill Belichick as coach.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, really, New England has the better offense and the better playmakers on offense. Yeah. I mean, Gronkowski, Vereen had a great day. Edelman's been clutch the whole playoffs. Yeah. Amendola. I mean, the list goes on. Yeah. I mean,
and Tom Brady has a habit of making everybody around him better too. Like, he's
a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I mean, Russell Wilson's. I mean, Seattle's kind of limited. I mean, and again, Lynch is their go-to guy, right? I mean, Kearse and Luke Wilson and Doug Baldwin, they're fine players, but they're not the go-to guy. Yeah. So back to your point about that's what players play for. I don't get the impression that Lynch necessarily cares about that. Like, I know that there's already been rumors about him possibly retiring this year and things like that. I don't know that he feels spurned, but in the same breath, I mean, there was a shot of him walking off the field with a little bit of a smile on his face, and some people can take that as, like, oh, he doesn't care or blah, blah, blah. But I think as an athlete, I think when you're in that situation, I mean, it's just a matter of, like, disbelief. Like, I can't believe that catch just happened that Kearse made, and then now we've lost the Super Bowl
to a guy that was unheard of, really, too. Like Malcolm, it was Butler, right?
Yeah, Malcolm
and he
Butler.
Was pretty well out of nowhere. And that guy, like you said, you go from the catch by Jermaine Kearse to an undrafted rookie stealing,
Well, I mean, that's the method to the Patriots' madness, and that's why they're successful, because their advanced scouting saw that play and knew that Seattle runs that play, and they practiced that leading up to the Super Bowl, and they were ready for it. He was ready for it, and hats off to him. He deserves all the accolades because he I mean, he won the Super Bowl for them at that time. Right?
Definitely.
I mean, he really did. Yeah.
So where do these teams go from now, or like from here? I guess I think New England's already pegged next year as the favorites. Or Seattle's right there behind them. I do believe is second, like 6-1. I think for Seattle, 5-1 for New England, or thereabouts. Or...
Well, I think what happens now. I mean, New England in the history of the Super Bowl was the youngest average team that's won the Super Bowl. So I mean, they have a good young nucleus, and obviously, I mean, once you have Brady and stuff, but they do have some offseason questions, and I mean, yeah, I mean, picking an early season favorite, I mean, free agency hasn't even started yet. New England needs to bring back Shane Vereen and Darrelle Revis, and I mean, Will Fork is, I mean, he's a stud. He's their heart and soul on the defense, and I mean, they have questions just like every other team, right? Seattle's a little bit different, where I mean, yes, Lynch. I do believe Lynch is under contract, but they do need get him to an extension. They're gonna have to pay Russell Wilson here sooner than later, and I mean, that money that he's been on like a lower rookie contract, that's gonna wear out. You know what I mean? Because I mean, he's deserved. I mean, he deserves a pay raise, right? So
he's every game that he's been in his career, in the college and the NFL level, he's led at some point.
And
so that's a string of over 80 games. I think it's 82 or 83 now that he's held a lead at some point. That's remarkable.
Oh yeah, he's a great young quarterback. Again, with Seattle, I mean, I know Richard Sherman, Tommy Lane, I do believe is his name, and Cam Chancellor. They're all hurt. They need off-season surgery. When are they going to return? I mean, they should be.
Healthy?
Are they going to return healthy? Are they going to still be the same player? I mean, I would assume they would be ready to go for the regular season, or I guess the preseason games or whatever. But I mean, they'll miss the off-season training camps and the workouts and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm sure they'll be fine. I mean, and like I said, I mean, like so many other teams, I mean, a lot of teams have a lot of balls in the air and a lot of question marks.
And even like Peyton Manning, Denver Broncos, is Peyton coming back? I can't see him not coming back, but I mean, that's still a question that's being tossed around. There's, like you said, there's a lot of questions going on.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, as far as the teams that have been, I guess in the conversation in the thick of things over the last couple of years, you got Denver. I mean, Peyton Manning, does he come back? Does he not? I mean, they're going in with a new coach. Are they able to re-sign Demaryius Thomas, who's their best wide receiver? I mean, does he go somewhere else to make them, make a potential other team better?
Dallas has a lot of questions with their running back, quarterback.
Well, I mean, who do you take? I mean, you would think Dallas has, I guess, an endless supply of money and would make whatever. To do whatever they needed to do to make sure they get DeMarco Murray and Des Bryant under contract. But if you have a choice, who do you go with?
You'd almost have to go with. That's really hard choice. I'd have to say Des Bryant, just because DeMarco Murray, what he did last season, I don't think he can replicate that. He ran a lot, he that's hard on the body. He's done it for 4 or 5 years consistently now, Ben, and I don't know if he can necessarily, if you were to sign him for 4 years, you might get 1 or 2, maybe 3 good years out of him, but are you going to get the full value? Whereas a wide receiver, Des Bryant's been consistently good, and you're still going to have Tony Romo, so I think you got to go with Des Bryant.
Oh, absolutely. Des Bryant's younger. Wide receiver is a premium position, just like running back. But I mean, the way that the NFL's gone, I mean, over the last few years, I mean, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, I mean, the premier offensive players were quarterbacks and running backs. I mean, when a running back got 1,000 yards, it was like a big deal. When a wide receiver got 1,000 yards, it was a big deal. Now, I mean, you get 20 to 25 wide receivers because
it's more
the NFL is a passing game. So yes, I find that you can plug just about anybody in to be a running back. I mean, they're kind of a dime a dozen. I mean, if you got a good offensive scheme, a good offensive line, and a young, healthy running back, they're going to be successful. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think you got to give the money to Des Bryant. And I mean, realistically, a team like a Jacksonville or a Cleveland or an Indy maybe even will, maybe if they have the cap room, will overpay for DeMarco Murray.
I'd like to see the Colts pick up DeMarco Murray. He'd be a good fit for them.
Oh sure. Well, I mean, they need a running back.
So.
I mean, and that's I mean, as we saw, I mean, that's what really did them in. And I mean,
well, they didn't have any run game at all. It was all pass, and then New England just kind of stood back back and waited for the pass, and I think they attempted like 5 rushes or something like not very much. So.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, New England owns them anyway, but I mean, well, Andrew Luck's
up and coming too. Like every year he gets better, so I think he'll be a good young quarterback to watch. I'm actually pretty excited to watch Buffalo Bills next year, see how Rex Ryan does. They were exciting this year with their defense, and I think Rex Ryan's a very good defensive-minded coach, so I'm just kind of excited to see if they take that next step. Watkins is a very good young wide receiver as well, so I'd like to see if he takes the next step. So
yeah, well, no, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, they have a decent two-headed running back tandem in Fred Jackson and CJ Spiller. They just don't have a quarterback. I mean, it's hard finding a quarterback. Like, I mean, really, I mean, there's not that many top-notch difference maker type quarterbacks in the league right now. I mean,
and I think a lot of too. With younger quarterbacks, I think a lot of it has to do with your offensive line, like a little bit too. Like if you can get protected, if you have that little extra time in the pocket to make the throw, or especially being a young guy, you don't necessarily know the schemes as well. You don't know who's 1, 2, or 3 as well. Like you're maybe a second behind. So if you have a good line that's protecting you, then you can usually do a little better. So. Yeah.
Well, and I mean the scout. Obviously, the people that do the scouting and the evaluations and stuff like that, I mean, they know their stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? But, I mean, could anybody have predicted, Russell Wilson's success? Probably not. Otherwise, he would have gone 1, 2, or 3 in the draft, right? But, I mean, you look at Johnny Manziel. I mean, that guy's a complete train wreck, right?
Yeah. And I mean, he's entering some kind of rehab now, so.
Because of that, the Browns, I mean, they've been kind of a joke. I mean, they haven't been a well-run organization for a few years now, but I mean, this just kind further stunts their progress. They had a decent season with Brian Hoyer, quarterback.
Josh Gordon's now out for a year as well.
Josh Gordon's out for a year.
Positive for a banned substance. I'm not sure if they announced what it was again. But.
Well, I think the story was that after the season, him and his manager and a couple other people got on a plane. He had some drinks, and he wasn't permitted to drink. So his misunderstanding of what his rules were led to the 1-year suspension. He wrote actually a decent letter, kind of explaining himself and stuff like that, but still didn't take any accountability, which a lot of people in the media, which take that for, as a grain of salt, feel that he needs to kind of
step up and own it,
and become accountable and. Go through the.
I'd let him go. If I was Cleveland, like as talented as he is, this is. I mean, how many times are you gonna fool me?
Well, no, and that's right. And I mean, I mean, because he's not successful there doesn't necessarily mean he can't be successful somewhere else under a different
good system, like somebody that can maybe grab him by the scruff of the neck and be like, "Come on, kid, you're good." Like, smarten your game up, and needs maybe some veteran. Guidance behind him. I don't really know if there's that much there in Cleveland.
Oh no, there isn't. Well, I mean, when the inmates are running the asylum, it's hard to buy into what the message is being said.
He needs to go to a good organization.
He needs to go to a good organization, like New England, like a New England,
Pittsburgh, even like somewhere where it's kind of been where it's been run properly for a while.
Yeah. So some of the other stories there, I mean, through the Super Bowl week, I mean, obviously,
Deflategate.
The Deflategate was ridiculous. I see now that a lot of the, supposed
critics,
critics and truthers out there have kind of stepped back some of their.
It wouldn't have mattered what New England played Indianapolis with. They could have played with a beach ball, and they still would have owned the Colts. It's just kind of, if they knowingly tampered with balls, then they should be punished. I don't think it had any effect on the game, so I don't think it tarnishes anybody's reputation that way as far as cheaters or like it had no effect on the game whatsoever. It maybe, if they did it knowingly, maybe tarnishes the reputation that way as cheaters, but in no way, like it didn't affect the game at all because, I mean, Andrew Luck's using the same balls.
Yeah.
The Spygate is more of a cheater thing, in my opinion, because you can actually affect the outcome of the game by knowing the other play calls. I mean, if you're both using the same ball, it doesn't really matter if it's underinflated. Yeah, maybe Brady's better with an underinflated ball than he is an overinflated ball.
Yeah.
But they're still using the same balls. There's not much of an advantage there. But if they knowingly deflated them, then yeah, there should be a penalty to the team. But as far as taking away from Tom Brady's legacy or Bill Belichick's,
well, that's just
foolish,
that's just an easy
cop out.
Yeah. And I do believe that the rule is that if something like that is to happen, I think the team sacrifices draft picks. Yeah. Which, if that is the case, then just
so be it. Yeah.
So be it, and just make a ruling and be done with it.
Yeah.
But I guess I mean, why do you suppose it is that story gains so much traction? Is it because the media's lazy and can't find other stuff to talk about, or do people just why do people hate the Patriots so much?
Well, in my opinion, because I'm not a Patriots lover,
me neither.
I really don't like them. I find they're good. They're very good, but they're kind of us against the world mentality. So I think that kind of makes everybody else hate them. It's like either you love them or you hate them. They're not a team kind of, I don't know, I'll go basketball terms here, like a Memphis Grizzlies or an Atlanta Hawks, where, I mean, you can still like your team and still like them too. But if you like your team, you can't like the Patriots, really. They're too good. They're
a threat.
Yeah.
They're a threat to your team.
Exactly.
And to ruining your fandom's dreams of being a champion. I now kind of see it, how it feels to be someone in your shoes who's like a Blue Jays fan, who despise and dislike the Red Sox fans, such as myself, because and I caught myself there. I don't like using we because I don't play for the team. I'm just a fan.
But
I know a lot of people that use that we, and you're not part of it, man. You're just not. You're one of millions of fans. So anyway,
but the fans do make it. So.
Well, anyway, back to my point. I know now why, because it's. I think there's a part of jealousy. It's a part of being seeing that team as a real threat year in, year out, and just that success.
You get jealous. It's almost envy. I'm a through and through Toronto fan, like the Raptors, Leafs, Jays. Don't mock me about the Leafs, guys. That's terrible. I won't talk about it right now. But and then to see Boston, like the Bruins, the Celtics, it's just been it's you get jealous, and it's I have a hard time liking Boston teams because man, they've won everything.
It's title town.
Yeah, they've done awesome, and it's makes it hard to want to even like them a little bit because you're taken away from my team. The Red Sox, the Jays haven't had a chance in years, because the Red Sox, Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean, they do still have the same chance.
No, that's not true. That's more management than anything.
Yeah, no, I caught myself there. But Red Sox, but New York and Boston have been managed well and run well over this last 15 years or 20 years, whatever. Whereas the Jays necessarily haven't, and they've kind of floundered, and
that's my point. That's management's fault, right? I mean,
it is. But then you've also had really good competition. You would have had to been an A+ team on the Jays to beat the Red Sox or the Yankees during those years. Whereas there's other divisions where you wouldn't necessarily have to be an A+ team to make the playoffs.
Well,
it's a tough.
We can debate that one.
Well, let's see.
Well, I mean,
let's go in basketball terms right now. The Raptors in the Atlantic Division, that's a very easy division. Whereas you go over
this year,
but that's been the case. New York and Boston were consistently good. So I mean, that's always going to be a good. That's been a good division because those top two teams have been two of the top teams in the MLB. For the last 20 years, they've been in the top. If you were to rank teams 1 through 30, they've been in the top 10 probably in the last 20 years, and that's tricky to overcome in a division. To have 3 top 10 teams in one division, that would be pretty tricky to do.
Well,
it's tough competition.
But I mean,
I agree that it was.
I mean, why is it then that the Blue Jays are the only team that hasn't won the division
because
in the last 5 years or 6 years? Why is that?
No.
That's not.
No, I agree.
It's I mean, they supposedly have superstars. Well, I mean, they do have good players, but I mean, why don't they get it?
I'm blaming it on the city of Toronto.
Fair enough.
It was even during the World Juniors game on Christmas Day when we got up 5-1 to Russia. I was like, boys, it's not over yet. We're playing in Toronto. We're at the ACC. I know what happens in this building. Nothing's over until it's over.
That is true. Nothing is over till it's over. But I mean, there's no real reason to dislike Tom Brady. I mean, he's a champion. He says all the right things. He plays hard. He doesn't you know, and this is actually, you know, I've come to. I mean, I used to dislike him a lot, but there's no good reason to, because he's not a big blowhard like the LeBron Jameses and these other guys that are out there promoting themselves. He kind of just goes and does his own thing, and
he's got a supermodel for a wife.
Yeah, that, you know, and I mean, but he's not scandalous. I mean, you know,
Maybe we just didn't like him because we were jealous, because he's really good.
Well, no, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason. You know, I mean, I never liked Derek Jeter, but I respected him. You know what I mean? It's just and I think that's, you know, because I've spent a lot of time thinking about it lately. I mean, I think that's what it is. These guys, these teams that consistently win, poses a threat to you, and that's and your, you know, chance of happiness, you know, and that's what it is. So, I mean, I was rooting for Seattle. But after the game, I was a little like upset that they lost. But I'm thinking to myself, why do I even care? Like, I don't like Richard Sherman. I don't like the Seahawks. I mean, I'm a Philly Eagles fan, so why do I really care who wins, other than the fact that it was just a great game, which it was. You know, so I should have just been content with that.
I wanted the Patriots to lose too, because I was a Colts fan. So.
Well, see, but everybody did. I mean, if there were 17 people in my living room, 15 of them wanted the Patriots to lose. You know, why is that? And I think it's just that. I mean,
they've been consistently good.
And I think that's a kind of, you know, I mean, so I'm spouting off saying all this. I, you know, wanted the Miami Heat to lose when they had LeBron. I want the Cavaliers to lose now because of LeBron, because he is that good. I never liked Jordan. I mean, I respect him as the greatest basketball player, but I just never wanted him, because he always posed a threat for the teams that I rooted for back then, as the, you know, for the Knicks and stuff like that. They were the teams that beat them. So that's, you know, and I mean, I think that's normal.
I'm not a huge LeBron fan, but I do think he's going to go down as one of the greatest basketball players in history, just even stats wise. Like, I think he needs other people to make himself better, but.
Well, what my question is, I guess, so I said the thing about Tom Brady. I mean, why is it that he never needs to go in the media and say anything? I mean, when they had the press conference there about the whole Deflategate, I mean, he looked very uncomfortable, and you know. Yeah. But I mean, LeBron James, like, I know I you know, a couple weeks ago just went off on him, you know, in my opinions, and I mean, it just hasn't stopped. Like, now he's trying to, like, tinker through the media, through Twitter and all this stuff with Kevin Love. Like, I don't think, and I don't think that's a reason for 13 out of 14 and, you know, wins in a row. Yeah. I don't think that's that. But I mean, why does he always incessantly feel that he needs, like, to be in the news all the time?
Because he's the king. Anyway, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to discuss a little more about LeBron James, the Cavs, the NBA. We are going to be running a contest, so if you guys want to give a call in and give us your questions, thoughts, opinions, post on Facebook, a question, comment, anything like that, we'll enter your name into a draw for tickets to the Charlotte County Aces game against the Woodstock Slammers on February 21st. We'll be running the contest again next week as well, so be sure you tune in then and call in, comment, post, everything like that. So we'll take a quick break and we'll come back to you guys.
At Fredericton Nissan, they're proud to say most of their staff have been here for over 20 years. So you know you're dealing with an experienced and trusted team of professionals in both sales and service. Fixing it right the first time. That's what it takes to be a Nissan technician. Drop by Fredericton Nissan at 580 Prospect Street and discover why Nissan is the fastest growing brand in Canada.
Hey guys, this just came from Montreal. And it's pro equipment.
Listen, hey, Joseph Armand, you make a lot of money serving mass, so maybe you could buy this.
Oh, sorry, guys, but well, I've got other plans in mind.
It'll take more than a couple of screws and a box of springs to repair your father's watch, my boy.
Say, Mr. Laflamme, how much do you want for this?
My tools are not for sale.
Hey, I can pay.
from his first experimental snowmobile to jet aircraft, Joseph Armand Bombardier's vision would eventually circle the world, thanks to the company that still bears his name.
Today, we bring you the first part of our global broadcast exclusive conversation.
The streets of Tahrir have once again been filled.
Key issues here at the United Nations Climate Change Conference remain unresolved.
Police are saying the protesters to move further and further away.
I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!
Wait.
It's a ceremony?
And Your Majesty may be pleased to know that this year, thanks to the help of our Indian friends, we have produced some 30,000 pounds of this sweet gift.
This is New Brunswick's independent community channel, CHCO-TV. We live in Charlotte County.
So we were just kind of having a little chuckle over the commercial there. So we were talking about LeBron James and the Cavs and Kevin Love kind of before we went to break. They've stepped it up a little bit. They've 13 and 14. Kevin Love kind of went off last night, 7 of 8, I think, for three-pointers, or he hit 7 3-pointers anyway.
Yeah, he was playing the Lakers, who give up the most points in the league, so I wouldn't really hold too much into
Although the Lakers are one of 3 teams to have beat the Atlanta Hawks and Golden State Warriors this season. Memphis Grizzlies and San Antonio being the other 2, but which one doesn't belong?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's going to springboard them into the playoffs or anything. But yeah, well, no. I mean, I suppose you got to take you take all the good that you can get, right? So.
Well, I'm kind of a backseat Lakers fan too, because I mean,
wearing the pride.
Kobe, but I mean, I'm a Raptors fan, but Kobe's one of the best basketball players of all time, so got to give the Lakers.
Depends on who you ask. I got some friends that would gladly like to debate that with you. But anyway, yeah, I mean, no, Cleveland's playing well. I mean, when you have, they've had a starting lineup that they have, they should win games in a weak East. Now, they did go on the West Coast and, beat
some good teams.
But do you see them as a real threat in the Eastern Conference Finals or playoffs?
I do, in a way, just because they have LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and then Kevin Love. Like, any 3 of those, if you get into the playoffs, can steal a game for you. And I mean, hey, if you get each one of them to steal a game in a 4-game series, there's 3 games won. And then if you can even play together one game, there's the. Yeah. So I don't see them necessarily being a threat for the championship. I don't think they could beat really any of the really good teams in the West, like a Memphis or Golden State or Atlanta, or even I think Atlanta will give them a hard time in the East, I guess. But I think they do have the talent to possibly overthrow.
Yeah, no, I mean and I mean, not just this year, but I mean, the previous years where LeBron would dictate who I mean, he's really the de facto coach and general manager. Just ask him; he'll tell he'll tell you anyway.
He can get whoever he wants.
But I mean, though, the failures of past transactions, the deals for Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith, and then the separate deal for Timothy Mozgov, have really.
That helped them.
Yeah, well, yeah, big time. I mean, and they've panned out so far. I mean, again, they need to stay healthy and stick to the plan per se. But I mean,
Mozgov and Blatt knew each other as well, so I think that kind of helped with Mozgov, just stepping right in seamlessly because they played together in Europe.
Well, and that's I mean, and winning cures everything. I mean, now you're not hearing the nonsense in the media about David Blatt getting fired in his first year, not even his first year through a season. Yeah. You know what I mean? what I see happening is I don't see them getting to the finals. I mean, I think and I really, really hope that Atlanta stays healthy 1 through 13. I really hope that their team stays intact because I would love nothing more than to see a finals between them and Golden State and never have to hear about, the Blake Griffins and the Chris Pauls and San Antonio. And I mean, that's just good.
Though,
they are. And but that would be just great basketball.
Team basketball.
Basketball.
It wouldn't be, there's not really too many individuals on either team. I mean, Steph Curry is probably your biggest all-star, and then
he's the MVP. I mean,
other than that, the two teams play really good basketball. It's moving around, getting the open shot, hit the three, run the floor.
Yeah.
Like, it's really
well. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, in this day and age, like, there's so much individualism in the play and marketing and branding and all this nonsense that last week the Hawks starting 5 were players of the week.
That was awesome.
You know what I mean?
That's something NBA I don't think's ever done.
It never happened before, but that's a good message for kids. Like, maybe playing as a team isn't such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you can be successful playing as a team. Maybe it's fun to see your friends and the people you care about also get some accolades too. Like, I think that says more of a stronger message than
and I think that's why the Raptors have played so well this year.
Someone going out and scoring 40 points a game for 3, for 3 or 4. Well, Kobe too. I mean, there's more to it than just stats. You know what I mean? And for me, anyway, I mean, I'm a fan of the game, and I mean, I have lots of players I like and dislike. And
I think that's the reason the Raptors have played so well this year as well. Is they play for each other. They believe in the system, and they kind of play for each other. Like, it's been different guys every game that's kind of stepped up. Like last night against the Spurs, it was James Johnson. He can guard 1 through 5. Like, he played phenomenal. DeRozan's getting to the free throw line again. Kyle Lowry will take a foul even if they're up 20. Like, he'll take the charge up 20 and 2 minutes left in the fourth. So
well, and so I don't see, back to my point, I don't really see Cleveland making the conference finals. I mean, at this point, I mean, Washington's kind of in a slide. Toronto's been playing well lately now that they got their full core back. But they haven't been there before. You know what I mean? I think they've only made it. They
last season to the first round.
They made it. And I mean, they made I think the conference semifinals back with that epic 7-game series between Philly and the Vince Carter led
but
Raptors.
I mean, none of those players are on the Raptors anymore.
Oh no.
Not even any of the management. I don't think either. So I don't even think that experience from that one will carry over.
Well,
the experience from the Nets. The series last season with the Nets in the first round will be the experience
and that kind of touches on my point. You have to lose to win. I find in the NBA you have to lose to win, and I don't think Cleveland's going to be there because I find they lose a game, they will be so there'll be so much speculation as to why that they're just going to snipe at each other in the media, and it's just going to,
Well, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, David Blatt, none of those three have ever faced this amount of pressure, this amount of media attention that's surrounded. Like, LeBron James is kind of used to it because, well, he's LeBron James. He made that hype on himself, though, a lot of it too.
Like you said before the break,
1, 2,
he's
3,
a king.
4,
He loves the attention. So, like I said, I mean, my hope is that Atlanta stays healthy. We're starting to see some injuries crop up in the NBA that are going to definitely affect how things shake out.
Blake Griffin, he's out 6 weeks with a staph injury, getting a staph surgically removed or something.
Well, I think it was his elbow. So he's going to be on the shelf for 4 to 6 weeks. Dwight Howard's now going to be out 4 to 6 weeks.
This is the Clippers' toughest stretch of basketball too.
Well, the Clippers are done. They don't.
February.
They don't have anybody to come in and provide what Blake Griffin brings to the team, brings every night. I mean,
you
that's
just where I'll give the Raptors credit too. I mean, they played a month and a half without their best player, like DeMar DeRozan, and how many teams could stay in the top 3 of their conference without one of their best players?
Well, when you're playing teams within your division and within the Eastern Conference more so than the West.
But Toronto has played well against the Western Conference and teams with a winning record as well. So
So I see the Clippers, Houston. I think Houston will be okay because they do have Terrence Jones, I do believe, coming off the bench. Dante Montigenis or something. But they did pick up Josh Smith.
Yeah.
So I mean, they will have. I mean, they got James Harden, who's leading the league in scoring. So I mean, they're gonna have.
Oh, and how long do you think? Have they said anything about how long Anthony Davis is out?
No, I just, yeah. I mean, he's another big guy.
That would be a terrible loss for the NBA this season if he's done for like any amount of time. Just he's on pace right now to break Wilt Chamberlain's per record, like PER record for the season.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm starting a team, today, he's my number one pick over everybody. LeBron, Durant, everybody. I mean, he's the guy, like he is, and. Yeah, I mean, I hope that he stays there. I mean, that would be a great story. I mean, it's good that these stars are kind of in these remote areas as opposed to the 5 or 6 bigger markets, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, you saw Oklahoma City go through their injury issues with Durant and Westbrook, and they're
26 and 25, I think, right now.
Yeah, they're right in the thick of things. Memphis, they lost Mike Conley. Zach Randolph's been out. I mean, they
played through it.
They played through it. So it's going to be important for the Golden States. I mean, Steph Curry up until I think last year. I mean, he had injuries with issues with his ankles. So yeah, I mean, I just hope that the other teams stay healthy for the duration of the season. Do you see San Antonio being able to hang on to that 7th, 8th seed?
Yeah, I mean, it's Popovich. He's one of the best coaches of all time. Tim Duncan, you still have putting up decent numbers for his age.
He's going to be another All-Star.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard again. Like he hasn't quite played to the level he did last year.
He's been hurt this year though. I mean,
but I mean, if he gets healthy, you still have Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and then Popovich, one of the best coaches of all time. Yeah, I can see them. Yeah, like you said, 7th, 8th seed. Like I can't see them moving up too much higher than that, but I don't see them dropping too much lower than that either. So.
Do you see Oklahoma City sliding in?
Yeah. I see Phoenix dropping out.
Yeah.
With Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook healthy, as long as the two of them can stay somewhat healthy, it's going to be tough for Phoenix to hang on.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Phoenix has lost some games they probably should have won. They've lost games to lesser.
They've lost 4 buzzer beaters. It's the first team in 10 years to lose 4 buzzer beaters in a season, and we're only halfway through. So.
Yeah. I mean, and that's tough, right? I mean, that one of those games could be the
deciding factor,
the difference, right? So, I mean, and again, like with Dallas, I mean, they traded for Rondo. He's kind of not done very well for them, right? And he's been injured. And I think he's going to be out until after the All-Star break.
Defensively, though, like somewhat, he's played well on their defensive possessions. They just can't seem to find a fit for him in the offensive rotation. Like he's not that type of player for their offensive schemes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's still time. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
With Kevin Love and LeBron James and those guys stepping it up, would you have still have made the trade for Kevin Love for Andrew Wiggins, or would you have maybe held on to Wiggins? Because Wiggins has really been stepping it up. It's 3 months in a row that he's won Rookie of the Month or whatever. He's kind of looking like that potential that made him go number 1.
Well, it depends on which way. I mean, do you want the short term or the long term? I think when LeBron James decided to go back to Cleveland, I think they saw it as a window of 2 to 3 years. Like they better win
or else
now, or he's moving on because he's done it once. He is going to do it again. I mean, he just doesn't have that. I mean, every championship-winning team needs 2 or 3 superstars, but he makes it more like obvious that he needs that help, as opposed to I mean, Kobe stayed. I mean, he had Shaq, but I mean, Jordan had Pippen. But I mean, those teams.
Kobe won after Shaq too with Powell.
Well, they had Powell and Lamar Odom and playing at a high level and stuff like that. But I mean, that's my point. Like, if you go through every championship-winning team in the NBA had 3 Hall of Famers, basically. And I mean, that's the Heat won with 3 Hall of Famers. I mean, San Antonio's going to have 3 Hall of Famers.
Chris Bosh is going to go down, in my opinion, as one of the most underrated NBA players ever. Like, I'm not just saying that because I was a Raptors fan either. He played behind LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, and he still put up really decent numbers.
And the thing that he needs to get a little bit of credit for.
But he changed his game too.
Well, he did. He sacrificed his own stats and stuff for the betterment of the team. And he called it this year when he said it before the season started that Kevin Love was going to have to do that too. And he's that odd guy out.
You
know what I mean?
He's struggling to do it.
He didn't in a game there last week. He didn't take a shot after the first quarter. Scored 5 points.
There was a stretch in 2 out of 3 games where he scored 5 points.
Yeah. But they won. You know what I mean? And that's the name of the game. And Kevin Love gives off the air that he doesn't necessarily care a whole lot about stats. I mean, I'm sure he does. I mean, they're NBA players, they all have egos.
He
but
seems a little frustrated too, because he's saying like the coach is kind of using him as a spacing option too. Like he can't really seem to find what his role with the team is. Like he finds he's more of a floor spacer sometimes, and I don't know. I can almost see him bolting Cleveland.
Oh, he's definitely he's definitely out of there. So back to your point, or back to your question, I mean, do you now regret making that trade? I think Minnesota got the betterment of the deal, to be honest. Because I mean, if Kevin Love leaves,
you just sacrificed your next
future.
Heir,
That's right.
And he's looking like he can be the next heir. Like
well, I mean, he's
and he cares about defense. Like that's the biggest thing. Like that I've seen from the games and the highlights and everything I've seen about him is he cares about defense. Like he hustles back. He doesn't want you to make that shot on him. Like he
plays with pride. I mean, and that's
Canada.
and that's a good trait to have. I know that ESPN journalist there, or whatever, commentator Jason Whitlock kind of killed him before the season, saying that maybe he doesn't have that drive because he's from Canada, and we don't well. It's easy to say when you're not from here. I mean, we wear our stripes pretty.
We're proud. Like, Canada's proud. Like, so, I mean, look at Steve Nash. He was like, he could go down as one of the greatest point guards, top 3, top 5 of all time.
Yeah. I mean, he's in the conversation. I mean, back-to-back MVPs.
You can't put him ahead of like Magic and a couple of guys like that. But I mean, he's still in the top 3, top 5. And but the passion that he played with, there wasn't many guys. Like he broke his nose and come back out. Like,
So I know. I think Wiggins is going to turn into a fine player. I mean, he's, the problem is he's playing in Minnesota. He doesn't have a lot of help behind, or supporting him. I mean,
they've got a lot of young guys.
Yeah, Rubio came back, and Kevin Martin.
Anthony Bennett, Zach LaVine. They've got a nice young nucleus.
Yeah.
But so did the Boston Celtics, really, for over here. Like Marcus Smart, he's looking awesome.
Well, I mean, and they're playing well for all the trading off that they did. They're, they're.
In the playoffs,
they're still kind of hanging around that 8th, 7th seed, and I mean, that's kind of been something that the NBA commissioner
Adam Silver has talked about it.
That doing a little bit of restructuring with the way that the playoff seeding and format.
So how would you like to see that go? Would you like to see a playoff restructure of some kind, or?
Well, I mean, things are cyclical. Yes, I know things are the way, the West has been dominant now, but I mean, back in the 80s and 90s growing up, it was the Sixers and the Celtics and the Hawks, and in the West, you only had the Lakers. You know what I mean? It's a cyclical thing. Now, I mean, I don't want to sound like, stick in the mud. I mean, I know things need to evolve and change. But I mean, if they are to maintain the 3 divisions in each conference, have the 3 division winners, and then, after that, the top.
I honestly think they've got to balance out the schedule better, and not just in basketball and baseball and in hockey as well. Like soccer.
Mm-hmm.
In a Premier League game, there's 20 teams in the league. Each team plays the other team once, home and away.
Mm-hmm.
Or twice, I guess. So it would be home and away. You play 38 games.
Yeah.
And every team plays. So, I mean, it's balanced. You really get the true definition of the best team because you've played the same teams home and away.
Well, I think that has to go hand in hand, that if they do make a restructure of the playoffs, because I think
restructure the schedule.
Yeah, because I think what they want, the reason that they do have the unbalanced schedule and that you play teams in your own division more times is because you want a division champion. So I mean,
I myself would rather see more like the soccer, just every team, like we've got 30 teams in the NHL, play every team twice or 4 times or something. I'd say probably twice, and then you cut your season in half a little bit, maybe do some kind of instead of an all-star game, maybe do an all-star tournament or something, and actually give players, take 2-3 weeks off, because you'd be playing 58 games essentially.
So will you be watching the All-Star Weekend basketball version this weekend?
I'll watch it. I'm not necessarily sure I'll enjoy it as much as I could. I mean, All-Star games, in my opinion, are kind of a little bit of a joke. Like they don't stand for anything. The players don't put as much effort forth. It's just kind of a, hey, let's alley-oop, let's not play defense, and then it's same in hockey. Let's not check. But if you're getting your best players, I mean, you want to see your best players play at a high level. Like,
yeah. Well,
that's the point of an All-Star
It depends
game.
on what you, as a fan, think is a high level. I think playing hard and maybe not necessarily being, a taken for granted type of game like the NBA All-Star game usually is, until it's a close game. 5-7 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and then it's enjoyable because they're playing because they want to win, because that's when the pride takes over. But I mean, for the kids and the people that are kind of the fair weather fans of the game, or people like the Kanye West that are probably just there just to get on TV and stuff like that. I mean, they just want to see dunks and good plays. But I mean, good plays happen all the time in a course of a game.
Oh, I think if you had the 5 best players and the 5 best players in each, they should be playing like they're the best players, not just like slacking off on defense or. I don't know. I just find the All-Star games kind of just, they're not playing for anything. They kind of, it's just we'll play and that's it.
Well, I mean, they try. I mean, they do that with Major League Baseball. I mean, they
and that actually means something though. And then there's still guys that are tossing up softies to Derek Jeter so that he can get a home run or a hit in the All-Star game, and then.
Well, I was blown away that proportion.
Yeah, well, if it means something, he still shouldn't have.
But should it mean? But you're saying right now, like you just got done saying, that they don't mean anything. But so should they? Should the All-Star games mean anything?
Yeah, if you're gonna have your best players playing, like if you're that would be the definition of an All-Star game, in my opinion. Especially if when you're looking back at their career stats, it says, okay, this guy was selected to 10 All-Star teams. Well, what's that mean? Like if the All-Star, like it's kind of a joke, especially if you're getting your fans voting. Like Kobe Bryant voted in this year. Did Kobe deserve it?
No.
Like there's people in the West that deserved it over him, but then it's going to go on Kobe's career stats vote into the All-Star game.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if I like the premise of the All-Star game, getting your best players to play against each other, but make it worth something. Like make it mean something. Make it, whether it's money for a charity or a draft pick or
that's
something.
That's
put something on the line
that's
to make
what
them play for it.
I agree with you. I think that's what it should be. Is a charity, some sort of charity benefits from something, you know what I mean?
Put something on the line, even if you put a draft pick for your team, or like I suppose that'd be hard because every team, but.
Well, I mean, I just think with all the money, that an All-Star weekend and any of the sport majors generates, I mean, give back to a charity, some sort of I mean, my God, I mean, it seems like a different theme every week in the NFL. I mean, why don't you dedicate the Pro Bowl earnings to
domestic abuse?
or whatever.
Was your big thing this year was the domestic abuse. So why not, like, everything that you earn from the Pro Bowl, put into domestic abuse programs? Like,
exactly.
And then even if you have like the winning team, like the player say gets to pick take $50,000 and donate it to a charity of his choice or whatever. Just put something on the line for the guys to make them actually want to play. Like it's just kind of, there's no
incentive to do it.
No pride. They kind of like the All-Star game kind of plays like the Leafs. It's just kind of well, there it goes.
But I mean, I get you touched on the point about the Major League Baseball being All-Star game meaning something. I mean,
it's home field advantage for the conference that wins it. So I mean, if the National League wins it, then they get the home field, and if the American League wins it, they get the home field. So I mean, players should be playing for something.
I guess the people that would push back on that would be like, so should every team get somebody voted in then? You know what I mean? Like if a team like the Blue Jays, who is not going to have anybody, I mean, should Batista and Encarnacion be on the team? Because they're not going to factor in, as opposed to maybe having somebody from the Angels, somebody from the Tigers that realistically could
be in the playoffs. See, that's it. I do agree with that though, because
I love just talking crap about the Blue Jays.
They've won at least a championship for Toronto in the last 20 years.
That's right.
25 years.
But 22.
I'll take it. It's closest to the any Canadian team's championship, though. Montreal was 93 as well. Other than that, no Canadian teams won a championship in any league other than the Grey Cup, but I mean, Canadian teams got to win that anyway.
That's right. So I mean, it. Did you watch any of the NHL one? I didn't watch any of the NHL game.
I watched bits and pieces, but not really.
Yeah, I saw the score was like 21 to
14.
Was it? Yeah. So I mean, that's That's a crazy amount of goals.
No defense, and
Yeah.
and then like the festivities, honestly, in my opinion, are more entertaining than the actual game. Like the 3-point competition is going to be better than the actual All-Star game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, with this year's crop of players in the 3-point, I mean, that's gonna honestly for any basketball fan, that's must-see watching. Like I will definitely tune in to watch that as soon as the slam dunk contest. Like that is not what it used to be at all.
How did you take Chris Paul's comments about the referee? Was that just
well,
kind of
you know, I
blown
mean,
out of
I
proportion?
think, well, yeah, it was. I mean, that's just the media again. In my opinion, being lazy and just trying to dig into something that's not there. I mean, you know, I mean, he does have a point. They do get the ball out fast and run with it. And
I think
you know,
I agree with him that he was just referring to that call when he said that she doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
If that would have been a guy, then he would have said he doesn't belong there.
That's right. And I mean,
the media trying to say, oh, it was sexist, like because he said that she's a girl. He's got to say she. Like, come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, I mean, Chris Paul's never given any type of indication that he's got, you know, I guess negative attitudes or negative points of view socially. You know what I mean? He seems to be.
Well, and he's
a well-versed, well-spoken, well-educated man. So, I mean, I never took it as a sexist thing. I mean, it was just.
I thought it was foolish when they were trying to say it was sexist. So it's like she's a girl. He has to say she. Like,
yeah, I think what I guess the underlying thing is, I think that the NBA referees are sick and tired of the Clippers and they're pumping their chests and Lob City and all this stuff, like. And I guess just the way that they kind of carry themselves, like they've been back to back NBA champions, and they haven't done nothing. They haven't done. I mean, they've gotten out of the first round, but that's it. I mean, they got swept last year. You know, they got beat down last year. So I mean, you know, until you win, you don't really have the right to.
No, I agree with that.
You know, walk around with your chest puffed.
5 technical fouls in one game is a fair amount.
Well, they've led the league in the last 3 years with technical fouls.
And then the year they didn't, they were in second.
Yeah, so. You know, I mean, it's so I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Yeah. I mean, so you know. Just the last thing I kind of want to touch on, Ed Sable, who is the father of NFL films, which I don't know if you know everybody realizes the way we watch football nowadays is. Really can all be kind of linked back to him. He passed away there today. Pioneer for the way that NFL is shown on TV. I mean, the NFL Network, I mean, always has, you know, top 10s, history of Super Bowls, you know, football life. I mean, those old highlight packages and those old home videos back in the day. I mean, I love them, and a lot of my friends, you know, we grew up watching those, you know, the big hits and the catchy phrases and the, you know, the football follies and stuff. So I mean, it's, you know, it's a loss. Yeah. So and Dean Smith also, you know, ex-coach of the University of North Carolina.
There was also a Montreal coach. Something.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, he did pass away. So, been a little bit of, you know, a little sad last couple days. Sports icons being lost and whatnot. But you know, it's
it is what it is. I guess. Rest in peace to all those people, and then thoughts and prayers to their family and friends. Like we'll be thinking about you all because it's never easy losing anyone. But that was the end of our show, guys. So make sure you tune in next week.
Yeah, we'll be here next week.
Be sure to call in and post so you can get your name entered in for the draw. We didn't have any this week, so if you post or call in next week, you might have a pretty good chance of winning those tickets. Yep. So it's been a pleasure, guys. Again, I'm John Smith.
And I'm Jason Speed. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.